I went to a conference recently and it was about buyer agency, and I figured I would take the time to share my thoughts about it and let people know not to be too scared, or also let people know things may or may not be changing in the industry. But I figured about 10-15% of realtors might be already implementing this. And if we run into a situation where realtors are fighting with each other, depending on how they get paid, how much they get paid, it could be a little difficult for buyers and sellers. And I'm not going to tell you my opinions on which way is the better way to do business, but I will at least address what I've heard. So it seems like there's a thing going on called buyer agency. And the buyer agency agreement is a situation where a buyer says to their agent, okay, I will, or the agent says to the buyer, I want to get paid, say 4%. We'll use a high number, 4%. So the agent gets the buyer to sign this agreement, and in some way, shape, or form, that buyer's agent will be getting 4% on the purchase price of a house. So if a house transacts at 400,000, that agent will be getting 16,000. Now in MLS, people put in generally 2%, so the agent would get about $8,000. So where's the other 8,000 coming from? There's a few ways to do it, and I'm not an attorney. I am a loan officer, I am a realtor, and I am a property owner, but I'm not an attorney, and I also don't want to be listed as saying something that is definitively fact if it's not. So please take what I say with a little bit of a grain of salt, but do realize there are multiple ways to skin a cat. I believe there's ways to change the agreement so that the entire $16,000 commission to be paid to that buyer's agent could be paid through closing, through the seller, some way, somehow. Um, FHA loans do allow 6% seller concession, so we could put the house transacts 416,000 and make a seller credit for the $8,000 for that difference of 8,000. There's something like that you could do. Um, the seller could pay it, the buyer, side could pay it right out of pocket, or combination thereof. There's a few ways that things can be done. I admittedly don't know every single way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a genius on all these things, but I obviously the method does exist. People are using it, and no one stopped anyone yet, so it must be legal. And you could refer to people who have done transactions in that manner to see how that can be done. Um, what it does do, though, and is now you've got realtors that are saying they offer a 0% commission to certain buyers agents or to all buyers agents because they're getting maybe a little upset that the buyer's agent's making more than the listing agent, or they just do it because out of spite for maybe that particular agency, or maybe they just don't like that guy. And we all know who that guy is. The guy who's been doing it for a very long time. But the problem therein lies is that guy has a lot of buyers, has multiple agents, and as a listing agent, you may not be doing your seller the best service if you are precluding that guy and his buyers from observing your property and making offers on your property, and you're trying to sell to people that are not that guy. And by that guy, there are multiple that guys now, and there are multiple people doing what that guy is doing. So you do run into that scenario. What ends up happening is the best scenario for everybody is if the buyer and the seller and then the agents get along and get the deal done. And there's a few more obstacles or a few more options or a few more things that could occur to make that all happen. Obviously, then you run into a scenario maybe appraisals come in a little short. That could jeopardize commissions. And that's obviously discussions you have between buyers and sellers and whatnot. Generally speaking, that guy and anybody who acts like that guy is interested in getting a commission from a sale. So it's possible that if appraisal comes in light, that they might decide, okay, let's maybe ease off on our demands a little bit. Um, as the loan officer in the deal, there are a few things that we can do to accommodate multiple scenarios, but obviously, if a house is worth say $380,000 and one agent wants to get paid 5%, another one wants to get paid 4%, that's $36,000 and 400,000. That's a lot of money. There's going to have to be sacrifices made when that scenario does occur, obviously, and I'm sure it doesn't happen that often unless you have a buyer just overly excited about a property that oversells it for whatever reason. Could be some situations too that are very unique in the market. Maybe some waterfront that's not given the proper value in MLS or by the appraiser because maybe it's the only waterfront property in that area for whatever reason. Maybe it's a small lake or something. So there are other scenarios like that. But the general goal is before we get upset with people who are on the other end of a transaction, a real estate transaction, think to yourself, all right, let's make this try to work. Let's see what we can do. Go in with a positive attitude at first, and then you can decide if things go awry later on or whatnot. But I think that if we start to see more and more agents that do business a little differently, then so you're gonna have to adapt because there's not enough market share, not enough people, not enough either buyers or sellers to do the business the same way you do. And there might be a point where it gets to 50-50. And don't forget, we're low inventory now, so it doesn't matter. You can say, all right, fine, I don't want to deal with those 10% buyers. Not a huge deal. But if and when we ever have a surplus of stock in real estate, you'll be happy to get any buyer you can get. So that's something else that could certainly change how business is done. So I will say I'm curious to see what the future brings. I will say do caution people that are trying to overcharge for commissions or trying to get really high. The mortgage business did that in 2008, and then they slapped our commissions down big time. The CFPB got involved, and Consumer Finance Protection Bureau um, can get involved in any industry where there is a consumer. And in real estate, those are consumers. They're consuming real estate agent services. So real estate agents could potentially fall under that if they don't have the protection, maybe of a NAR or something else. I don't know. I can't predict the future again. I just also know the government goes very, very slowly. So by the time something does happen like that, I might be in a wheelchair or I might not be walking the earth. So just keep the transactions going. I know we have a market that's not very saturated with properties right now. So just chug along, and hopefully 2024 brings a little bit of relief in the way of better rates, and then we could see more business come on. Thank you for listening. Bye.